Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm your host GL, and today I'd like to talk about flotation. Flotation works by exploiting differences in how well materials can be wetted by water. Some particles will float while others sink based on their surface properties and interaction with air bubbles. I like to tell my students to think of it like a party where some people, let's call them the hydrophobic ones, really don't want to hang out in the pool. They'll grab onto any float, or in our case, air bubbles, to stay out of the water. Meanwhile, the hydrophilic folks are happily swimming around at the bottom. That's essentially what happens in flotation separation, except instead of partygoers, we're dealing with different types of particles. While density is important, in flotation, we actually overcome the natural density of materials by attaching them to air bubbles. This creates a particle bubble unit that has a lower effective density than water, causing it to rise. Think of it like giving someone a bunch of helium balloons. Even though that person is heavier than air, attach enough balloons and up they go. Similarly, when we attach air bubbles to mineral particles in flotation, we're basically giving them their own personal flotation devices. It doesn't matter if the original particle was denser than water, those air bubbles are their ticket to the surface. Flotation is primarily used to separate minerals and ores, particularly sulfide minerals like copper and zinc sulfides from waste rock. It's also used to separate plastics, remove ink from paper during recycling, and clean up oil spills. I have this fun demonstration I do in class where I use flotation to separate different types of plastics from a crushed water bottle. The students always get a kick out of it, especially when I tell them this is the same process that helps recover millions of dollars worth of minerals from rocks that otherwise look completely worthless. It's like having a superpower that can find treasure in trash. Surfactants are chemical agents that modify the surface properties of particles, making them either more hydrophobic or hydrophilic. They're essential in controlling which materials float and which sink during flotation. You know what? Surfactants are like those social butterflies at a party who can convince the shy kids to dance and the loud ones to quiet down. In flotation, they're basically telling certain particles, hey, you're going to stick to these air bubbles whether you like it or not. While telling others, nope, you're staying in the water pool. And just like a good party needs the right mix of people to be successful, flotation needs the right surfactants to work properly. And by the way, if you are enjoying the video so far, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button. It really helps support the channel. And it only takes a second. In mining, flotation is a huge deal. It's used to extract valuable minerals worth billions of dollars from crushed ore. The process involves creating a bubbly slurry where the desired minerals attach to air bubbles and float to the surface while waste rock sinks. Back in my college days, I actually worked at a copper mine during summer break. The flotation cells there were massive, like giant hot tubs filled with gray bubbling soup. And here's the crazy part, when you look at that murky, bubbly mess, you'd never guess it's producing pure copper that'll end up in your smartphones and laptops. It's literally turning rocks into treasure. My students love when I tell them that their video game consoles wouldn't exist without this bubble magic. Hydrophobicity, which literally means fear of water, is the key property that makes flotation possible. Hydrophobic particles prefer to attach to air bubbles rather than stay in water, while hydrophilic, or water-loving particles, prefer to remain in the water phase. Let me tell you, explaining hydrophobicity to my students used to be tricky until I started using the high school dance analogy. Imagine the water is like the dance floor, and the air bubbles are like the gym bleachers. The hydrophobic particles are like the shy kids who'd rather sit in the bleachers than be on the dance floor, while the hydrophilic particles are like the dance enthusiasts who never leave the floor. Works every time. Flotation is everywhere in our daily lives. It's used in wastewater treatment, paper recycling, plastic sorting, and even in removing fat from milk to make skim milk. If you've ever used soap to wash dishes or shampoo to wash your hair, you're actually using a form of flotation. Just yesterday, I brought in a carton of whole milk and a carton of skim milk to class. I told my students, see these two? The difference between them is basically industrial scale flotation. Then I showed them how the cream rises to the top in whole milk. That's flotation in action. Although, I have to admit, one student asked if they could float their younger sibling away using this method. I had to explain that, unfortunately, flotation has its limits. The efficiency of flotation is measured by recovery rate and grade, basically, how much of the desired material we can collect and how pure it is. We can improve efficiency by adjusting variables like bubble size, pH, temperature, and surfactant concentration. I like to compare this to making the perfect cup of coffee. Just like how you need the right water temperature, grind size, and brewing time for the best coffee, Flotation needs all its parameters just right for peak performance. And trust me, if you've ever seen my attempts at using our faculty room's fancy coffee machine, you'll know that getting all these variables right isn't always easy. But that's what makes chemistry exciting. There's always room for optimization and improvement. If you're looking for exercises to test your knowledge, there is a link in the description for you. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the video so far and want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.